Internet scams on dating sites and stuff right now are completely out of control. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry, a year industry where scammers are taking money from helpless men and women online. They're faking who they are. They're tricking people. They're getting people to fall in love with them. There's all kinds of crazy scams going on out there. And long distance relationships and online relationships have become an incredibly common thing. I hear about it from women all the time who are seeing or dating or in relationships, not only with men who are, like 100 miles away or in a different state, but on the other side of the entire planet as they are. And so how do you know if this person that you've been talking to is a scammer or if they're a real, genuine person who's looking to get to know you? Hello, my name is Matthew Coast, and welcome to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the 4 signs that you're dealing with a scammer. These are the most important signs that you can look for, and they are giant red flags that there's something weird going on here. And so let's talk about it. Sign number 1 is that he professes his love really, really quickly. And so he doesn't know who you are, right? You guys haven't met, but you seem to be exactly the type of woman that he's been searching for his entire life. He wants to get married to you. He wants to treat you right because you're the one. You're the one that he's found. And it's usually in a very, very short period of time, because scammers know that if they don't get you hooked really, really quickly, the chances of getting you hooked at all are really, really slim. And so he tries to get you caught as quickly as possible. They call this love bombing. This is a technical term out there. I don't know how technical it is, but basically what they do is they say lots and lots and lots of really sweet and wonderful things to you, telling you how amazing and wonderful you are. They know that you're absolutely perfect. You're the best woman that they've ever met in their entire lives. And they're doing this to manipulate you. That's what's happening here. Love bombing is manipulation, or it's a giant red flag. Either one, right? There's something wrong with a person if they're falling in love immediately, and there's something weird going on there, right? And sometimes this happens with guys from a biological standpoint, but it usually doesn't happen online. If it does, it usually indicates some kind of insecurity, massive insecurity that they have, or issues that they have going on within themselves, that they're getting overly attached to people that they don't even know yet. And so if he's getting super attached to you and he doesn't even know you and he thinks that you're perfect and the one, it's a giant red flag, whether he's a scammer or not. It should be a giant red flag that makes you feel like you should put on the brakes for a minute and kind of figure out what's going on here. So sign number 2 is that he has some job where he claims that he can't really talk to you. And so a lot of times these guys will say that they're on some kind of oil rig or something, or they're in the military on deployment, or they're some kind of doctor with an international organization and they're in Kenya or somewhere, right, where they're having and there's something going on in their situation where they're unable to contact you and call you and talk to you and get on voice chat. Which, by the way, if you don't know, when I first got into the women's dating industry and started coaching in here, I started hearing a lot about this stuff. And at the time, before, some people don't know this, but before I got into the women's dating industry, I was actually doing, I was in the military. And I was doing military operations. And after that, I became a contractor. And so I was literally in the military, deployed to a lot of these places around the world. And then I was a military contractor who was not only, I worked on oil rigs some of the times, but I also did other things. And so I would hear these stories from these women. They're like, if they're on an oil rig, he's a scammer. And I'm like, whoa, wait, not necessarily. I at the time was working on oil rigs because I wasn't making enough money from working in the dating industry to really pay my bills. And so I had to go overseas and work in the Middle East on these different contracts. And so I've heard a lot of these different things. And one thing that I can tell you for certain is that even if he's in the middle of the ocean, even if he's in the middle of the ocean, he can still call you. He can still contact you. He can still talk to you. They've got satellite phones. They've got, even if he's in the middle of the Indian Ocean, he can still call you and talk to you. And so that's not really a good excuse for the most part. For the most part, it's not really a good excuse. And, you know, why is he dating if he's in this crazy situation, right? There's something weird going on. Like if he can't talk to you, if he can't video chat with you, another thing, they can fake video chats, right? Sometimes these guys will send videos and it's basically him just talking and then asking for feedback and then talking some more and then asking for feedback and talking more. And they're getting better and better and better at faking video. And so it's one of those things where you have to be really, really cautious. If he's got some kind of job where he's out in the middle of nowhere and he can't talk to you or he can't video chat with you. And if he does, it's kind of this weird video where you're not really interacting. He's not really interacting with you or any of that kind of stuff, right? So here's some other things, right? He might be in a place where, you know, he's traveling just outside of your country. You know, he's, you know, all over, somewhere on the other side of the world. And just to let you know, almost every country in the world, almost anywhere you go, you can video chat, you can call people, you can talk to people on a regular basis. So it's not really a good excuse. So that's that one. That's sign number 2, is that he claims that, or he has some kind of job where he claims that he can't really talk to you. Sign number 3 is he tries to build a connection really, really quickly. And usually the sign of this, and I've been in the dating industry for a long time, so I know a lot about the different signs of like how do people build connections really quickly. And one of the ways that they do this is they get really vulnerable, right? They take risks. And if you're getting vulnerable and you're taking risks, you're doing things like you're telling somebody something that you've never told anybody else, or you're, you know, they tell you that they haven't really felt this way for anybody else before, or they give you some kind of pet name, or they have some really emotional story about themselves and their family, and they're open to sharing it and talking to you about it very, very quickly. Or they're on a very emotionally compelling mission to help people and work with different people. These are ways that you can quickly build an emotional connection with someone, which is actually something that you can learn from if you want to build emotional connections faster with people. But it should be a big red flag that this person, that there's something weird going on with this person if they're building this emotional connection with you really quickly. They're giving you these pet names. They're connecting with you. They're telling you these things about themselves that they don't tell anybody else. They're feeling these feelings for you that they don't feel for anyone else. Any of that kind of stuff. You should look at it and be like, okay, what's going on here? There's something weird here. Maybe I should look at it a little bit more closely. And then sign number 4 is the most important sign. I'll get to that in just one second. So sign number 4 is that he eventually tries to get you to buy something or pay for something or give him money in some way. And it's usually not just giving him money. It's usually money for something, although sometimes it is just giving a person money. I've talked to people that have just done this, right? Because these scammers are getting, from some people, it's just thousands of dollars. If you look up some of the stories online, you'll hear about people giving millions of dollars away. This is a multi-billion-dollar a year business. And so at some point, they're ultimately going to start asking you to pay for something or give them money in some way. And this usually comes in the form of paying for like a plane ticket or some kind of other travel expenses. A lot of times it's to come and visit you. or pay for some kind of surgery or some kind of medical expense that they're having for either themselves or maybe their child or a loved one that's really important to them. Or maybe they're trying to get you to pay for customs fees to send you something or give you something, but you have to pay for the customs fees. And so they give you this thing that you have to send the money over, and then you'll get their present or their money or whatever they're sending you. Or they're going to try to pay off some kind of gambling debt with that money, or pay for a visa or other travel documents because they got stuck somewhere and they're trying to get somewhere else, but the military is not paying for it, or their contracting is not paying for it, which, by the way, is never something that happens. The military will never stick somebody somewhere and not pay for them to get back. And contractors, they don't do that either. They don't just send you somewhere and just hope you get back. They pay for the entire trip. It doesn't matter if you as a military person or a contractor has any money or not. They send you there, they bring you back, and they pay for it all. The contracting company does, the military does. So if they ever say anything like that, it's a lie. That doesn't happen. That's not what happens. And then the next one is paying for presents for a daughter or something like that. And a lot of times it's not just sending money. It's not just paying for something. A lot of times it is actually wiring money, but sometimes it might be like with MoneyPack or some kind of gift cards from Amazon or Google or Play, or the most common one that I've seen is iTunes cards or Steam cards. And the reason that they do this is because it's very, very difficult to trace it, but it's really easy for them to exchange it for money. And so they will get cards from you and they'll say that it's for all these different causes, but really they're just taking money from you is all they're really doing. And so it could be that, it could be wiring money, it could be anything. Anytime where they try to make you pay for something, that is should be a no-go for you. It doesn't matter how long you've been talking to them, because sometimes these scammers will put in a lot of effort, right? They will talk to you for months or even years before they ask you to start paying for things. And so it's really, really important that you make sure you're not getting into these crazy situations where you end up getting really invested. You end up falling in love for somebody who's not even who they say they are. It's, not the person. They steal other people's identities and they take that identity and they use it and they show that to you and they make up all these stories. And sometimes I get women that are like, no, it's not, I'm a good person. I'm giving them money. And it is, you are a good person, but you're not giving somebody money for the reason that you think you're giving them money. It's making you feel good about yourself, but you're feeding this scam of people that are just using you to get money for whatever their needs are. And it has nothing to do with what it is whatever story they're talking to you about. So how do you protect yourself against this? So if you suspect that maybe the person that you're talking to might be a scammer of some sort, so how do you protect yourself? If you suspect that they are a scammer of some sort, take their photo and look it up, right? Look it up on the internet. There's a way to do a reverse search. Google has this thing where you can do a reverse search. You can do it on your phone. On the desktop, what you do is you right click on your mouse and it'll allow you to reverse image search his image. And it'll come up with Google results. And it'll show, usually if he's a scammer, it'll show his picture with a bunch of different names. And all those different names are different accounts that he's created that he's scamming people with, or she's scamming people with. And so you want to do a reverse image search, and sometimes you'll have scammer databases where commonly used photos, they'll show up there. And so you want to do a reverse image search on it. You want to look up their name on the internet and Google them. You can also do a background check on them and find out information about them. But I found that some of those background checks aren't always reliable. They don't have everybody's name. It could be a different person somewhere else. And so it's difficult to get a reliable thing from a like a background check sometimes. And so you can do that though. You can do a background check. You can do a Google search and find out if there's a person and if that's them and how much background they have on that. You can look them up on social media and just look to see if there's any red flags there. Are they doing anything weird in their social media accounts? Are there multiple social media accounts? Whatever, right? Is it a different person? The second thing that you want to do, and this is the most important thing, is never, ever, ever pay for anything or give money to anyone. Just don't ever pay for anything for anybody. Just if a guy needs something, especially men, right? If he's going to be a man and he's going to be a man for you in your relationship, he needs to figure out his finances and be a capable and independent man who can come and do things, right? And so you shouldn't be paying for things. And if he's trying to get you, he's like sending you money and you have to pay for customs or whatever, just don't do it. Don't do any of those things. Don't pay for any things. He'll put a lot of pressure on you to do it. And if he's putting a lot of pressure on you, then you absolutely know that you should not be doing it. So do not do it. Do not pay for anything. Never pay for anything for anyone ever. Just don't do it. This person isn't who they say they are. They're usually, like I said, stealing somebody else's identity, stealing their photos, stealing their stories and stuff, all just to scam you. Their story isn't real. It's 100% fake and made up just to scam you out of money. You may feel good giving them money because it feels like it's a good cause, but they're actually just taking money from you and using it for something completely different. And so if you've already given a scammer money and you're like, what do I do now that I've given them money? What you want to do is you want to contact your financial institution that you pay through things for and report the scammer. And it can be really difficult because a lot of times you can't really get that money back, but you can let the financial institution know what's going on and they may or may not be able to get your money back. But at least you can feel like you've done something about it. You can report the scammer and just feel like you've actually accomplished something there. So that's that. What questions? Oh, let me go over the different signs again. Again, this is a huge multi-billion-dollar industry. Long distance relationships are really, really common. So if you're in one, you have to be really smart about things. My suggestion is that you don't date people that you can't see, that are far, far away, that you only date people that are around you. If you are dating somebody that's far, far away and you've never met them before, my suggestion is that you also date people that are around you and get into abundance so that you're not so stuck on this person that's, that you're not even going to see, that you might not ever see, that might be telling you crazy things, sweet things to get your hopes up and then crush your soul later down the line. So the signs are he professes his love very, very quickly, starts love bombing you. Number two is that he has some job where he can't really talk to you and he's unable to talk to you, creates some kind of nonsensical story about it. Number three is they try to build a connection really, really quickly. And they usually do that by showing vulnerabilities and doing risky behaviors from an emotional standpoint. Number four is they eventually ask you to buy something. And so you just don't want to do that. Just don't pay for anything. Look them up, reverse image search them, never give money to anyone. And if you've given money to them, then report them, tell your financial institution about it, and don't ever do it again.